Cool. All right, dude. I guess let's just dive in and welcome to
Thank you.
the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, dude. How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good. Chilling, trying to relax after this year.
Yeah, crazy year, right?
Too much, but yeah.
Yeah, we already kind of talked about it when we met before, but like you were saying that you were working harder than you can ever remember this year, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Intense.
Yeah, I kind of forced myself to, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of touched on something when you said that. It was like, it was almost like you had to do it.
Yeah, for many reasons. Like multiple things I think came together in order to kind of propel me to just try and work as hard as possible. So there was, this is the last year of my school, school life. So my master's is pretty much done. So there's that. So now I'm going to be looking for work, obviously. And then there's a place where, I know my demo reel and my sound design work was like not up to where it needed to be to get a job in like a AAA studio, which is where I'd love to end up, to be honest. So there was that. And this whole pandemic just gave me more reason to just stay indoors and be like, I want to make something of this rather than trying to, I could sit and I could kind of worry and I could use my energy to worry and do nothing, or I could perhaps use it and the time that I've been given at home to, do more. So that's what I ended up doing. Yeah, exactly. Make the best of it.
That's awesome. And hopefully you didn't go crazy doing all that.
I kind of did, but I always do. I do too much. That's my problem. I think I'm always in a hurry to do stuff, which is like maybe not the best way of doing things, but actually it's funny because this year's taught me more than anything that's like there is such a need for balance. And I was always kind of a person who thought I can get away with it. Like I can do it. I can get away with, working this much. It's no problem. And then realizing that, maybe have been so restricted in where you can go and what you can do has given me a new appreciation, I think to a lot of people too, of like what exactly you've got or what you had, and then now it's taken away. It's like, that stuff was actually way more important than you thought it was. So, yeah.
Did you realize that, like, as you were working, like, did you burn out, or like, did you realize it after you stopped working?
As I was working, like, I burnt out really quite hard in sort of August, and then I've just sort of kept on that same level of burnout for the rest of the year. So it's been a bit rough. I mean, I'm fortunate in that I was able to continue working a part-time job, and school and doing gigs and, working on my own stuff as well. But I kind of realized it towards the end of this year is when I realized it. Because even when I was burnt out, I was still pushing myself. I thought, no, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. I keep telling myself, you're fine. You can do more. You can do more.
Right.
And then at the end of this year, it's just been kind of a bit of a revelation. Like, yeah, you can do that. It's not healthy. And I've really felt that in my health more than anything. Like, mental health and even physically, like takes its toll physically too.
Yeah, totally.
And I think it's that more than anything that brought me to that realization that's like, this is not good for you.
Yeah.
It's not healthy. You could try and cram all this work into such a short space of time in order to, be ready for this job or be ready to make the next step. But, there is a balance that you've got to find, and taking its toll on your health is not going to get you there any faster. In effect, it's going to make you worse off because you're not going to be doing the best work that you can do.
Right. It's not worth the payoff, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously hard work's hard work, but there is definitely a line that I tend to cross.
I think there's like that panic of like, at least this is what I used to experience, which was like if I don't do it now, it's not going to get done, and I need it to get to the next thing, and like, but it has to get done. You
has
know?
to get done. That's
Has
it.
to get done.
That's exactly it. That's the same way. I'm the same attitude. It's like, if I don't do it now, I'll feel guilty about not doing it. There's always the weight.
Yeah.
It's like the weight of the work that's on my mind constantly. Like I know I'm not as good as I potentially could be, and I know this piece of work is not as good as potentially it could be, and I'm like, I need to fix it right now, because it's out there in the world, and it's my creative, it's my work, it's my creative process, and it's like, and people can hear it, and I know it's not as good as it could be, so I need to fix it. And it's like, even though I just, maybe even a couple of months ago, or a few months ago now actually, when I updated my demo reel with all my work on it, and I thought at the time, yeah, this is really good, I'm really happy with this, and I'm looking back on it now, having some context and some space from it, and having improved more hopefully as a sound designer. I'm looking back and I'm picking out stuff in it, I'm like, you know what, that's not as good as it could be.
Right.
I can hear it now, I can hear it, and there's just that part of me that needs to fix it, and then there's this other part of me now that's like, you're fine for a little bit, just relax, you're okay. We'll come to it later. We'll fix it later.
The problem with getting into that whole it needs to be fixed now, and I learned this eventually, right? But like the problem with getting into it is that you're always going to improve. So it's almost like you can never relax. Like you might relax for like a month or two, and then you realize, oh, I can do way better than that now. And it's just a cycle that keeps. It's a vicious cycle. It can definitely lead to a lot of like anxiety-ridden nights. I remember like not sleeping multiple nights, just thinking about like, fuck, I gotta make this next step. And
that's it. I remember being up at like 3 o'clock in the morning recording my voiceover for one of the videos. Like I have no vocal studio here, so it's literally just me under blankets and pillows and stuff, just narrating myself at 3 in the morning and going crazy. But that's what I thought needed to get done, and it definitely, I mean, I'm not going to say it wasn't entirely worth it. I got, I learned a lot from it. I improved a lot from it. I got so much good feedback from it. I got really close to, potential job offers in, really like world-class, amazing studios that would be like anyone's like sound designer's dream to get into. Anyone in game audio for sure. Got really, really close. And so it's kind of been worth it, but probably not at the pace that I did it at. If I'd have spaced it out and taken more time to just realize that, your health and your mental well-being's like suffering for it.
For some reason, I always look to Trevor for something like this. He seems to have a good balance of like, no, let's just take a day. Let's take a break, right? Okay. And I'm like, no, it has to be done right now.
That's it. It's that anxiety.
Really it is. Yeah, it really is.
I'm no good at that. And also my wife is the same way. She's a workaholic like me. So, we're constantly trying to like encourage each other not to go crazy on the work. But both of us are such workaholics that it's like, she'll work far longer than she needs to, or far harder than she needs to. Like, you don't need to do this, it's okay. And she's like, it's got to get done, and this part of me that's like, relax. But then there's the other part of me that's like in the same mental process as that. So I'm like, no, I can understand that. Yeah, she needs to get it done. And I'm like,
right.
No, it's so. I hope we can both learn a little bit more to, relax next year.
It's a huge part of it, and like I think what you said about like when you do get to relax and take your time to kind of refuel, it's like you're still able to maintain that high quality of work as well. You're not putting out subpar work that is. But even if I don't know, because it's so like hard.
It's like your own expectations, though, isn't it? It's like I think you have to look at it from that way. Yeah. It's like who's pressuring me to do this work? Right. It's like it's not really coming from anywhere. Right. It's like no one's like outside of me is going, you need to do this right now, otherwise you're going to be stuck and you'll never get a job. And it's like you realizing that that's coming from me. That's coming from nowhere else. Yeah. Yeah. And it's just trying to be able to realize that that's like self-talk is not necessarily helping me, and just trying to hear that and recognize it, and then just trying to have a word with yourself. Just, you're okay, it's all right. So but this is something that I just I've just kind of, even the last couple of weeks, I mean, I just finished school, what was that, like 2 or so weeks ago? Mm-hmm. Maybe a little longer. So like I've only been done with school for a couple of weeks, and then even after school finished, it's like I thought I had the break, and then it's like, oh no, I'm in the middle of a couple of applications, so I'm doing sound tests. So that's going on, and it's like it's kind of like this whole, I've been applying to places for most of this year,
right.
And it's like that process is still ongoing. So the stuff that I set up earlier this year of putting a lot of pressure is still kind of going on now and paying off. But it's like, okay, I'm just now in a position where I'm relaxing, and I'll let those things play out, and we'll see how it goes. And yeah, I can hopefully come in with a better, a more balanced attitude at least. It doesn't mean I'm not going to work hard, because that's what I do. I just do that, but just at least having more of myself and my kind of health in mind.
Definitely. Yeah. It's definitely not worth it, especially if you're going to try to play the long-term game of like, this is what you want to be doing for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. So you got time. Like, you got a lot of time.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. I mean, I don't know if the age factor comes into it as well, because, like a lot of people maybe, probably younger, starting out in this game than me, in their 20s. I mean, I'm now 33, so as you know, I was a musician for a long, long time. Yeah. And that's what I did. And then a few years ago, I kind of made the decision. Actually, 3 years ago, pretty much, I made the decision to try sound design, and it's something I've been considering for a while. And I tried it. Took a course at Berkeley, and then really loved it.
Oh yeah, what was that course?
So that was the Game Audio and Design and Production, I think it's called. Mm-hmm. It's Berkeley Online.
Nice.
Berkeley College of Music Online. It was amazing. I really enjoyed it. I loved it, and then I started doing it, and I realized, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. So,
but how did you what made you want to take that course? Like, who put the idea of sound design in your head?
It's kind of been something I'd thought about for a while, like in the background. I've been a musician since I was about 10 is when I started to learn, and I started to gig when I was about 11 with my dad's band. So we did like professional functions, like we were like a professional
dad's band.
My dad, yeah.
I had no idea.
Back in England, yeah.
What does he play?
He plays keyboard.
Fuck yeah.
So the band is it's called a Cayley band, and it's the word is spelled completely differently. I can't remember how to spell it. But it's basically, we do like functions, we do events, weddings, birthdays, whatever it was. And it's kind of like Irish, Scottish, traditional folk dancing, some American square dancing, traditional tunes and stuff like that. So basically we walk people through the dances, they dance. It's just good fun, good time. I had a lot of fun doing that. So that started when I was about 11. And I got involved like more heavily in music throughout my teenage years. I was in so many bands. I was taking music qualifications. I did my grade 8 in drums. I did like music theory. I went to college in England, which is like, I guess, kind of AP classes over here, pretty much like equivalent.
For music?
Yeah, I did English, history, and music technology.
Wow.
A-levels. And then I went to university and did a music bachelor's, popular music bachelor's.
Oh, nice.
And I was gigging, I was playing in bands, I was doing all kinds of stuff.
Was the college stuff all theory based, or performance kind of based?
It was actually a mixture of everything. It was recording, it was performance, composition, theory, sort of history as well. Some writing stuff, like analysis and essay writing. So it was a good balance of stuff. I enjoyed it a lot.
Nice.
So I did that. I got my bachelor's. I was in a covers band for a while, which we were working quite a lot. Yeah, I was in a covers band. I'll tell you, I'm so sick of playing like Living on a Prayer and Don't Stop Believing. If I get like PTSD from those songs. If I hear those songs, I swear it's
classic 80s. Everybody plays that shit.
I've played those hundreds of times, and I just can't do it anymore. It's ruined so many songs for me, but yeah, so that was good. That was fun. And then after that, that's when I moved over here, like about 2013. 2013 is when I moved.
Wow.
It was like a hard reset.
But why did you move? Like what?
that was my wife. Because of my wife.
Hey.
So,
Adeline.
You got it. That's the one. That's the one. So, yeah. So that's why I moved. We started talking in 2012. Met up quite a few times and just knew that something had to happen, and we decided that was going to be the best thing to do. And so I moved, and it was like a hard reset, And I was kind of here with nothing really in terms of my own like career. Like I'd been in a covers band and I taught drums, and I had to kind of find my feet and decide what I was going to do. So I taught drums a little bit. I found, just jobs doing random things, what I could, because my wife was in law school at the time. So she was in school, so I had to work. And I was still finding my feet. I wasn't like able to just jump into a music career again. But it actually gave me time to think about like, what do you want to do? It gave me some space from music because I'd just done it from 10 years old.
Right.
And not really thought about it, if that makes sense. Even from that age, I'd not really thought about what I wanted to do with it. It was just like I was just in bands and I was teaching, and I loved that stuff so much. Don't get me wrong. I'll always be a musician. I'll always play drums. I'll never stop.
But it was never like a thought about a career. It was you were just in it the whole time.
I was just in it. You know what I mean? Like I never had the space from it. I never really consciously sat down and thought to myself like, where do you want to take this? You know what I mean? That was kind of strange, like coming here and then having to actually now go through that process and think, oh, now what are you going to do? So that was interesting. And then to as a long-winded way to answer your question about how did you get into that course, but sound design was like something I'd always kind of loved, and I realized that I'd always been a huge fan of sound design without knowing what it really was. Like as a kid watching Jurassic Park, for example, I latched onto the sounds more than anything else.
Wow.
And those are classic sounds, like the sounds of the dinosaurs. They're so classic.
I feel like everybody references them when it comes to sound design. Everybody. It's just so good. Gary Rydstrom's just amazing. So he just made some amazing things for people to latch onto, just so interesting. And I'd find myself trying to replicate those sounds myself, and I'd try to replicate the sounds of Star Wars, and like above anything, those were the things that I really latched onto, was the sound. Wow.
And I still didn't know what sound design was as a kid. I was just like, oh, these are just sounds. I guess they come from somewhere. Someone does it. I don't know. And then the thing that really, and this is true for a lot of sound designers, I think, that I know at least, is that when they watched the Lord of the Rings appendices, and they did the whole segment on sound design and music, and people learned that, oh, people have to, this is what happens to make these sounds. I was just fascinated by that.
Really?
I was just like blown away. And I must have been about 13, 14 at the time. Like 15 maybe, when Return of the King came out. So that really got me thinking about like, wow, this is a cool job. Like, this is fun. I would love to do this.
Do you remember the first time you tried to like emulate one of those sounds?
I used to try and emulate them with my mouth. That's what I used to do. Yeah, like Jurassic Park, I used to pretend to do the roars. I used to make the Star Wars sounds, and that was just all like sort of, beatboxy sound design stuff, I guess. Not officially, but I never really tried to do it in a DAW until actually just before. So in my teenage years, like I'd watched Lord of the Rings and I'd been so fascinated. I was like, this is so cool. But then it went on the back burner again. And I was a musician. That's just what I did. So I was like, okay, that's cool.
Right.
But I guess it just kept ticking away subconsciously, because eventually I came to it, and I was over here, in my sort of, I guess, late 20s at that point. And something just clicked, and I just thought, I've been an audio person for so long, and this is when I was still experimenting. At one point I was going to be like a doctor or a PA or something, and I was looking into architecture. I was like, these are really cool things, and then just nothing really stuck as like a great idea. And I just thought, like, you've been an audio person for so long, and you love video games and you love films, and remember those sound design things that were really cool that you loved? Like, why don't you just try doing something like that? So that's when I first started experimenting with with actually creating sounds, and like I was like, oh, I'm enjoying this. I found myself doing it in my free time, and like seeing that hours had passed, and without me knowing, I was like, oh, I'm getting into the zone and the flow with this, and I'm not, and that was a huge thing, because I was like, I want to. My whole goal for like a career was like, I just want to do something that just doesn't feel like I'm going to regret going to work forever.
Right.
So I could make a lot of money doing whatever, some career, accounting, business or whatever. I just like no interest in that. And I just, I'd rather, I think my time's worth so much more than any amount of money that I could possibly make. So I just thought, I want to do something that I love. I just want to do something that when I wake up and go to work, I can look forward to going to work.
I think everybody who gets into this has some sort, even if they don't admit it to themselves, there's some version of that within them. Like, you don't want to like drag yourself up to go to a job that you're not really passionate about.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's a great reason.
Yeah, that was my primary motivator, and obviously having the background in audio and music, it just kind of made it click even more. I was like, because I didn't feel like I was wasting that musicianship and that audio stuff. I was like, you can use that. Like there's so much use for all the stuff you've learned. So it didn't feel so much like I was kind of betraying myself as a musician to go into some random career. Like that's all those years, those 20 years of wasted. You know what I mean? Because that's 20 years of work. It's a lot to change. But it's actually more of a sidestep than anything else, which is really cool. So
like there's so many tools from being a musician that I'm sure applies to sound design. It has to.
Almost. I mean, almost. I mean, music's. I mean, sound design. There's such a close relationship. It's almost like the two are like brother and sister, really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like they're so closely related. I mean, you're thinking about like frequency content. You're thinking about loudness. Then you're thinking about like your recording techniques, and you're thinking about microphones. You're thinking about texture and timbre, and you're thinking about space, and you're thinking about layers, and there's so much
musicality to it.
Musicality.
Yeah. Absolutely,
Yep,
dude.
Right. Rhythm and cadence. I mean, those things are even in sound design. It's like
I heard that
so much stuff.
Somebody like I heard a phrase like almost all art forms of visual and audio media tend towards music. There was some kind of line somebody quoted, but he was basically saying how like film, storytelling, sound design, audio, they all kind of gravitate towards music. Music's like this almost abstract way that we've been able to tell stories and stuff, and everything kind of tends to go to that. It was just I wish I knew the phrase. It was just a fascinating
That's
thing.
interesting. Yeah.
So that's why you got into the Berkeley thing.
Yeah. Right? So after I'd gone through that process, and I'd started experimenting by myself, and I was like really digging it, and then that threw my mind back to like all those years, and I realized, I remember watching Lord of the Rings, and kind of I ended up back here, and I remember thinking about all my past and like how much I'd really latched onto sound and sound design without really realizing it, and that it just clicked for me. Then I was like, oh, all that time it's kind of been chugging away subconsciously, and here it is now, and now you've got the opportunity because you've realized that to do something and try it out. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, so then I took the Berkeley course, and that was it's like a 9-month professional certificate. And
when was that? 20 what?
20. So that would have been at the beginning of 2018.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so this is like after I already knew you. Oh shit.
Yeah. This was because we met. When did we meet? 2016.
That's
it was the Matt Halpern Clinic. I can't remember. I think it was 2016.
It was in Brooklyn. It was, I definitely remember it was the Matt Halpern Clinic. I think that's the one where he played Loon. It's up on YouTube now. He plays Loon.
Played Loon?
He didn't play Loon for us, but he shot the video for Loon.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. It's the same. It was for ProMark. That's what it was. It was for ProMark sticks. Yeah, I remember that. I remember I went to that one because, I wanted to see Matt Halpern, obviously. But I always wanted to network and meet new people, and I don't know why I gravitated towards you. You were just quiet and chill. Everybody was a little hyped up. Everybody was a little hyped up. I'm like, just gonna go over here right now.
I just stood in the corner eating pizza.
Exactly. There was pepperoni pizza. I remember this. And then we did some drum covers after that, right?
Yeah, we did the drum covers.
Yeah.
For a little while. That was great. That was a lot of fun. And then I remember a couple of times after that is when you asked me to, if I wanted to drum in the band. So,
bro, the reason I got you into do drum covers was I wanted to get better at recording drums because I was still learning. But once I started hearing you play, I was like, this guy, he could work.
You were just auditioning me.
I was auditioning you the whole time. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I remember doing a lot of cool drums, a lot of late night sessions, a lot of editing.
Yeah, I remember those.
I remember you used to bring me like cookies and shit.
Oh yeah, it caused it. Are we crazy?
It was amazing.
I used to go to Key Food down the road, bring up like a carrier bag full of snacks for the night, cookies, chips, drinks. It was the best.
Oh yeah, Nesquik. Oh my god.
The Nesquik. Oh, the milkshakes.
Oh my god, I remember.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a lot of fun. And then I think
we'd finish at like 7, 8 in the morning sometimes. I remember, and then like there was one time I did that and I had to go to work straight away. I had to literally carry my cymbals and snare into the office.
Oh my god!
Because I was like, I'm not gonna get home in time, so I'm just gonna go to work.
Jeez, yeah, that was when I worked at the studio. So I think I just like slept for an hour and woke up and just started working.
Yeah,
wow,
talking about
times.
Like unhealthy work practices, right?
But I mean,
that was different.
Like in a way, there's like a period of time where it's okay to do that. Maybe I don't know.
Oh yeah. It's fine. It's fine. Those I remember those. They were so worth it.
Yeah, I didn't feel that anxiety then. I don't know. I wonder what it was. Maybe it was like.
I think it's extended period of time. It's just a period of time. Like I can, you can enjoy like late night sessions and stuff like that. Those are just fun, but. Just
but doing it like every day
constantly.
or like at least 5, 6, 7 days, or 5 out of 7 days a week, or 6 out of 7 days, or 7 out of 7 days a week.
6 or 7.
6 or 7, right?
Too much.
Yeah, it's a lot. Much. Yeah, you're gonna burn out for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So we did a lot of drum things, and then what else did we do? Yeah, you joined the band, did a bunch of shows. That was fun. We had a lot of good times, a lot of good shit.
Absolutely.
So you did the sound design thing in 2018. So this was like way after I met you.
Mm-hmm.
And so wait, when did you join NYU then?
So it was at the end of 2017 when I was like, I'd applied to Berkeley, and I was thinking then, because I was experimenting by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started the course, really, really enjoyed it. And that's when I was looking for like, okay, can I study this more? And this was like right at the beginning of the Berkeley course. So I was like, what can I do with this? And that's when I found the NYU master's degree.
Mm-hmm.
So I applied early 2018, and then I got in like February or March. I think I got the acceptance. So I was still, only partway through the Berkeley course.
Right.
And then, finished the Berkeley course in that September, which is when I started NYU. So,
you started in the fall. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
But the
fall 2018.
Got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and that's been it for the past couple of years. Has been NYU. I just finished my last credits this semester, and then I just have to submit my thesis next semester, and I'm finished.
What was your thesis on again?
So it's creating an audio-only experience in VR.
Oh,
and it kind of came about I read an article which was talking about how visually impaired gamers are able to play games through sound cues. And, how they listen to... So this particular one was talking about a guy called... he goes by Sightless Combat, with a K, Combat. And he plays fighting games a lot, and he plays them by listening to sound cues of enemy players, and you can react to those sound cues and know which attacks come in and how to block and how to counter and things like that. And I just read this article. I thought this is incredible, and it kind of got me into down the road of like audio accessibility and kind of this whole section of gamers who are just unable to play a lot of games because they're not accessible to people with visual impairments, basically. Right. And so they have to play the games through audio. And I found this so interesting, especially as a sound designer, and just how they're kind of underserved a lot, and the variety of games. So I was looking into it, and I didn't see any VR games that were kind of like audio only. I know many games that are like not particularly intended to be audio accessible, but they are by just virtue of the design. And then The Last of Us 2 came out this year, which kind of seems to have started a bigger sort of conversation about like audio accessibility or accessibility in general, because there's so many. But for us, audio accessibility by consciously creating these gameplay mechanics that give you audio feedback in order to be able to play the game.
Last of Us 2 did that?
Yes.
Really?
So the specific options that you can go to in the game that are accessibility options, and there's a wide range. There's options for I think color blindness and
no way.
People with low visibility. You can change things that make the visuals more clear if you are say visually impaired, or if you are, and for example, if you are like a visually impaired person, or if you're completely blind, you can set audio options to, say if your cursor is, or if your target is pointed at a particular object, it will give you a little bit of feedback to what that object is. Or if you come into contact with, say, cover, you get an audio cue that will tell you you're in cover. Or if you go to pick up an item, it'll react to whatever the item is, so you'll know what it is. There's so many things. It's really amazing, and I'm actually part of. So I was talking about my thesis to a friend of mine who works at the Game Audio Network Guild.
Oh, no way.
We had a conversation, and he basically put forward the idea of including like audio accessibility as an award for the Game Audio Network Guild Awards.
Nice.
And I'm kind of like in charge of organizing that whole thing.
No way.
So, yeah.
Dude.
So that was just like a conversation about my thesis, and I told him the same thing. I told him where the idea had come from and all that kind of stuff. And I've never seen a game in VR that's like audio only, specifically designed audio only in VR.
Yeah.
They may exist. I might be wrong, but my goal is to basically try and broaden games for visually impaired people by including a game that's not a horror game, for example, because horror games are very common.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a trope.
For sure.
Yeah, it's a trope and stuff like that. So my idea is like, can I create something a bit more emotional with a story and with audio feedback, so there are no visuals whatsoever. It's just audio. So
Dude,
so even people with who are sighted, for example, can play the game by audio. And they can get that experience of like having to navigate through audio too.
Dude, that could be so cool.
Yeah, if I do it right, which we'll see. But it's going well. Man. It's going well. So we'll see.
That's amazing, dude. No, that's true. It would work for anybody who wants to play it, not just the visually impaired. I'm sure. I mean, I would play it. Being a sound engineer, sound engineers would probably love it.
I hope so.
I think they will. That's amazing, dude. So wait, now you're on this. What is it called? The Game Audio Network Guild? What?
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like the Accessibility Committee is what it's called, or like Audio Accessibility Committee, I guess. And yeah, so this committee right now, it's just been made, is going to be deciding the nominees and eventually the winner of the Audio Accessibility Award for this year's Gang Awards. So games that have kind of pushed the boat out and made games playable for people with impairments who wouldn't normally be able to play to play the games be able to play it through audio specifically.
That's amazing.
So
that's amazing, dude. So
yeah.
you're almost done with NYU. Just have a thesis to go.
Yep.
And did you say you finished your demo reel, your new one? You did, right?
It's a few months old, and that's the one I was talking about earlier, where I'm listening back to it now and going like, oh, I hear some, I can hear some improvements there, and but yeah, that's my newest one, and when I give myself a break, I'm gonna update it more, but we'll see.
Yeah, a break first.
break first, then work. Yeah.
So like the eventual goal is to like get into like one of these gaming companies.
Yeah, that's my goal. I'm working like on contract at the minute for something, an unannounced project,
right,
which is really cool. And I did a few things with Future Reality Labs at NYU, which is kind of like the sort of mixed reality, virtual reality,
nice,
kind of like technology and computer graphics place. And we did a SIGGRAPH project for the SIGGRAPH's like the computer graphics conference. So we did a project, and I was lead sound designer for that, so that was really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, that was nice.
Unreal you're really going into this. That's awesome.
I try. I mean, I try. That's the thing, is like I get a one track mind. That's the thing, is like I guess that's maybe why I stayed. I didn't really consider anything else other than music for a while, because I was just so focused on it.
Yeah.
And then I finally got the chance to think, and then I was like, okay, now I'm focusing on this, and that's me now. It's just like tunnel vision. So
that's amazing, dude. So like specifically gaming. So how much is game audio or sound design for games different from sound design for film?
Quite a lot. A lot. So for example, I mean the simplest like comparison is in linear media, you're always scoring to the same picture. Mm-hmm. So no matter what happens, it's going to play back at the same speed, same order. There's no difference, right? So you can account for that in your sound design. But for games, you've got to think about, well, you can never really predict exactly what the player's going to do, except for example, like scripted sequences or like cutscenes, for example. Yeah. So those are linear moments mostly. Scripted scenes less so, but cutscenes are linear moments. But then you've got to consider like, all right, so if the player has the ability to attack, for example, like how many times are you going to hear that attack throughout the game? And if they spam the button, is it going to sound weird if this attack sound's going in again and again and again? So how do you create enough variety that it sounds natural, doesn't get boring, but at the same time you can't add in 100 attack sounds, like slash sounds for one thing, because memory is a huge thing, right? We can't take up the whole and audio is like notoriously like at the back of the line when it comes to like memory and like CPU and stuff. So like we're always like, it's like, please sir, can I have some more?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like that
last
kind of
consideration.
Thing. Yeah. So there's that, but so there's so much to consider. You have to consider, say, ambient noises. Like if you're going to loop ambient noises, well, you got to make sure that the player doesn't notice the loop. So you're creating seamless loops is important, but also if you have things that stick out, for example, if there's a bird noise that's always followed by, I don't know, like a car horn, the exact same one, the player's going to notice that because it stands out so much, right? And they're going to hear like, oh, there's the bird noise and then there's the car horn. And then a few minutes later, bird noise, car horn. I was like, oh, and that breaks the immersion. So there's the exact opposite of what we're after, right? So, because then you've basically told the player like, all right, this is, you want to kind of bury them in the world and make them feel like it's real. That's the world that they're living in. But as soon as they detect anything that's manufactured like that, it's so obvious that it's like, oh, now they're out of the world and you've not done your job properly, kind of thing.
That's so interesting.
So there's a lot of that to consider. You have to consider also like you can't predict, say, for example, how many noises are going to be playing at one time. Mm-hmm. So what happens if the player's next to like 50 enemies? You can't have 50 enemies all shouting and attacking at the same time, because that's overwhelming. That's just going to be horrible, like white noise, and and the player's going to get confused.
Right.
So then you have to consider like, okay, so which sounds are we going to play? Which sounds are we not going to play? And then what if the player's in a combat mode? Do we want to bring down ambient noise? Do we want to bring down footsteps? Do we want to bring up enemy sounds? Do we want to bring up the player's attack sounds? Do we, yes or no? It could, different creative like reasons to do either. But those are like considerations to take into account, just because you'll never, when you play a game, unlike linear media, you're never going to play the exact same. You could try going the exact same path, exact same timing, more than likely, especially in like AAA games, which like, open world games, huge games like that, you're never going to get the exact same combination of stuff that happens in that order, at least.
Right.
So it's about
That's
considering
so
like,
interesting.
yeah, it's about considering all of that as well as making good sound design. Like you want it to sound good, obviously, but then there's the consideration of like I said, memory, repetition, voice numbers, how many sounds are playing at one time, CPU, all that kind of stuff.
Sounds like so what do you use to program all of it? What's the software?
It depends. Some studios have their own bespoke game engines. Some use Unreal Engine is kind of a common one for AAA. Unity is also kind of a common one, more for indie, but also AAA too. Maybe less so AAA. CryEngine, I guess, is one. There's also an engine called Frostbite, which EA uses. So those are the game engines. And then even in those, for sound design, usually we'll use middleware, which is basically like software, like it's called Wise by Audiokinetic, or Fmod, which is kind of like software that bypasses a lot of hard coding in a game engine. So for example, in Wise, you can, if you have, for example, footstep sounds for a character, you can drag in 10 footstep sounds, and you can tell the engine, I want to play these randomly. I want to play them random volumes, random pitches. So the original file that you imported into that could be played at a variety of random pitches, given a threshold that you set, right? Or randon volumes. You can vary the volume slightly to give it more variation, or you can vary.
Okay, I just got it. Hence, it's called Fmod. Okay, got it.
And you can vary like the order that it's played in, so it could be completely random, so that you've not got a sequence of playing one footstep 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 back to 1. Yeah. You could go 1, 5, 3, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 10, 9, and so there's a lot of variety, and it just basically bypasses a lot of hard coding, makes sort of integration of the audio into the actual engine a lot easier.
Makes sense. It's almost like an advanced plugin in a way, if you're thinking about it in audio terms. Like
and you can even have plugins within it. Like you can have you can import convolution reverbs into it and assign those to rooms, for example. So you have a giant hall. Well, you create a box in that hall in the game engine and assign that box a reverb. So whatever sounds occur in that room will then play with the convolution
with the
reverb.
IR.
So real-time reverb, real-time compression, real-time delay, real-time, like a bunch of like typical audio effects, really. Real-time EQ, real-time low pass, high pass, real-time.
That's amazing.
Tons of stuff.
Dude, that's
volume attenuation.
That's way different from film sound design. Like it's completely.
Yeah, exactly. And volume attenuation, for example. So like an enemy's 100 meters away from you, which is maybe when you say, okay, I want to hear the enemy from 100 meters away, and as it gets closer, the volume of that enemy increases. And the filtering, like the low and high pass of that enemy from a distance will decrease the closer you get. So you get more of the full, just like it would in real life. Just a lot of it's modeling real life, sort of, or at least being creative with real life. Sort of
like hyper realism,
like more like if you think how sounds occur in the real world, like if you hear footsteps from far away, there's far less low frequencies or even high frequencies, because they disappear over time, right? And you've got a higher reverb to direct sound ratio, from further away. So you're hearing from a sound that's further away, you're hearing more of the reverb than the direct sound, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the closer you get, the more of the direct sound you've got. So you can also apply that. You say, okay, well, it's just in graphs. You can just say, okay, at this distance, I want this much reverb, and you just draw a line or a curve or whatever to simulate more realistic. But then it's gaming, so you don't want to be entirely realistic most of the time because you've got to inform the player. So you've got other considerations. Well, you could be realistic, or you could be creative, or you mix the two, and you see how that goes. So,
dude,
yeah, that's
a
lot more
lot.
stuff. A lot more stuff than linear, for sure.
That's amazing. I didn't even think about that when. Oh my god, you're right.
Yeah.
You have
it's
to,
fun though.
But
it's fun.
Like, it can't be possible to account for every single scenario, can it? I mean, I guess that's what they do.
Well, I mean, you're accounting for as many scenarios as the game mechanics are allowing. I mean, there's as free as the player is to do what they want, they're only so free.
Yeah.
Because there are boundaries to the level, there are boundaries to the game, there are boundaries to their movement, their speed, their attacks, or whatever. There are certain, restrictions on those. So
yeah, good point.
It's about trying to find. I mean, a lot of that comes from QA testing, which is so undervalued, to be honest. The QA testers are so undervalued. And finding obviously finding major bugs, but also finding what can the player do? Can they abuse buttons? And if they abuse these buttons, does it make sound weird?
Right.
So if so, then how do we stop them from going crazy with the buttons or stuff like that? Yeah,
dude,
a lot of stuff to consider.
Yeah, QA people are undervalued for sure. They
100%.
Rigorously test those things out.
100%, yeah. So, but yeah, that's the fun thing about I do like game audio for that reason, is because you do get to be creative with actually just designing sounds. It's a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. But then I like that other side of it, which is the sort of technical side, the programming and learning some programming languages and learning how to problem solve, because there's a lot of, it's never smooth sailing, obviously. There's so many problems that come up and issues and iterations and stuff like that. So it's about problem solving as well as it is creativity.
That's so amazing, dude. I didn't ever, when I first met you, I never thought you'd be getting into sound design, and it's so crazy that you got it. No, but that tells you how much of an idiot I am. It's I just make assumptions.
To be fair, I didn't even know till 2017, so
that's fair. Yeah.
There's that.
That's amazing, dude. But would you ever get into films if the opportunity presented itself?
Oh yeah. I mean, I picked games mainly because, well, I didn't even pick it, to be honest. I just kind of fell more into it.
Because you just like sense. Games more than films, maybe?
Yeah, I've been a gamer for most of my life, to be honest. I've been a gamer, so I kind of just lean towards it, I guess.
Yeah.
More than anything. Do you know what I mean? I do love linear sound design. I've done it and I enjoy it a lot. But yeah, there's just something about game audio that's I guess just grabs me more. I think I have more of a relationship with gaming, and I'm more passionate about gaming than I am about movies.
Is it fair to say that game sound design is harder than films? Or no, not really? It's kind of an unfair statement because they're two different things.
Yeah, I don't know. I would ask that question to a senior pro who's done. I could ask Scott Gershin. Because he's done both. He's he was my mentor for I won a scholarship to a game audio conference.
Talk about that.
Last year. So that was 2019, which is nuts. I basically applied for a scholarship to the Game SoundCon, which is just as it sounds, it's just game audio people coming together and talking about everything that makes up game audio. So it's how many days? 2 or 3 day conference in LA, and I applied for a scholarship and I got one, which is really cool. And I got as a mentor Scott Gershin, he works at Keyword Studios in the Sound Lab. And basically, they do all kinds of audio services for games and for TV and movies. So Scott Gershin's worked on like probably a million things that everyone's heard of. So he's worked on, oh my God, Godzilla. He's worked on Pacific Rim. He's worked on, I mean, his list of credits is insane. Like, I could go on and on. I can't even remember at this point.
I feel like I saw him in some interview. He was talking about The Dark Knight for some reason. That name sounds so familiar. No, he didn't work on it. No, he was just commenting on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But he's worked on games. He worked on the original Last of Us in some capacity. He's worked on, oh my God, like 1,000,001 things, like Final Fantasy games, you know, the top games.
And you were like mentoring under him?
Yeah, he was like assigned as my mentor for the couple of days. So yeah, I got to meet him, got to go to the studio, just ask him a load of questions, just talk with him, meet some people. It was really cool. And I can't remember what my original point was, what we were talking about. Just the conference in general, right? Yeah, just the conference, yeah. Yeah. So I got a lot of good stuff, learned a lot of stuff from there, met a lot of really awesome people. That's actually a really interesting point that I haven't talked about yet, is like the sort of longevity of game audio and staying in it. And even though like myself, I'm, kind of just coming out of school and just starting to get like sound design gigs and starting to get like some traction in my applications and some good feedback, and I'm starting to feel like I'm getting somewhere, is like how cool the game audio community is as a whole. And like how much it's like everyone seems to be really supportive of each other, if that makes sense.
That's amazing.
And there doesn't seem to be many people who are like on a high horse. So there's so many people, like really senior legends in the industry, who have like worked on everything, like, been around for so long and worked on so many cool things and won every kind of award you can imagine, who are just so happy to come up to newbies and just talk and introduce themselves and answer questions, and they have time for everyone, and they're just super nice. So that's something I really found that really stuck out to me, as well as like just enjoying the conference and learning so much stuff, was like learning how really cool the community is as a whole. Like just so many good people in it. And that's kind of what you want, because it is such a small sort of niche, tight-knit community. There's not a whole lot of people in it. Yeah.
I think it happens with audio engineers as well. And I think part of it is to do with the fact that these are things that happen behind the scenes that nobody really knows about. So it's like, one, you can't really talk to people about like, oh, I actually combined these EQs and then filtered it out. Nobody understands that. And also, nobody, I think, because we're so in it, we don't think about it. But like 90% of people take it all for granted. Like, oh, this is just what it is. But I think we have that kind of inner, almost... the inside look at things, and we're like, so it takes a very special kind of person to be like, I want to create a new sound that nobody has heard before. Like, not many people care about like new sounds.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, geeking out on all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's a part of it, and I also think that it might be a sign of the times, because I think that maybe just a lot of things are changing. The internet has really blown the doors open, so there's less of like a crab mentality of like, well, I got to stop that guy from going up. I got to keep everybody down because there's very few spots. But now the internet's like, you could become like a film director on YouTube making amazing content, and you'll have to have a sound design team and a audio team and stuff. So it's like there's so many opportunities. So it's almost like, well, why are we competing? There's plenty of opportunity out there.
Yeah, and it seems like everyone's trying to build each other up more than anything, rather than it isn't. I don't think I've yet to see one like instance of someone trying to bring someone down, who's like, say for example, someone got a job, or someone, they were themselves after. Like, it's generally always like positive stuff. That's like positive feedback, or like, advice is always given. And yeah, like I said, senior people in the industry tend to be really open and honest and really cool about just giving advice. And
that kind of makes it even more, even though this is what you want to do, it's like that just makes it even sweeter.
exactly. That's what I came away with thinking. Like, I think, like, I thought to myself, like, I think I finally found my, like, my crowd, my people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it was kind of that moment of like, these are cool people, and I really like them a lot, and
Yeah.
I'm going to enjoy, you know, meeting them all again next year, or obviously couldn't this year, but
Right,
you know,
right.
I'm going to enjoy seeing them all again. And it's just like, yeah, it seemed to me like everyone's just friends, and even like, you know, people in the big AAA companies are always like congratulating each other for like, you know, oh, you guys won this audio award, like congratulations, like really amazing work. And
Yeah.
it's like, I'd rather be in that community than one that's trying to like, you know, tear each other down and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. So like, is a lot of the opportunities over there on the West Coast?
seems to be the most, yeah,
That's what I
California,
figured.
like
Because
LA.
of like the bigger production studios are there, or the bigger game studios.
Yeah, there's a lot in LA alone. There's a lot. I mean, Naughty Dog's over there. There's Insomniac, which
Right.
made the Spider-Man games. Let me see. I think there's a branch of Guerrilla Games who made Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh wow.
But I don't know if they made it there though, because I think I remember there being a lot of. They may be based in like Scandinavia. I'm not sure.
Huh.
But yeah, Sledgehammer I think are there. I think Riot are also there. League of Legends. They made League of Legends. So a lot of big ones are in LA.
Nice.
Yeah, New York's a bit sort of more on the indie side of things. We have
Yeah.
Avalanche in New York, which is they made Just Cause.
Okay.
The Just Cause games. And there's also a Rockstar studio in New York as well.
Rockstar's in New York?
There's
shit.
a branch of Rockstar.
Huh.
But they have branches kind of a few places. Actually, there's a couple in England. There's one in Edinburgh, I think, and there's also one in Leeds, which is near where I'm originally from. So,
Oh, Leeds, really? Dude, my dad used to go there when we were living in England. He would work like 2 weeks in Leeds and then come visit for the weekend and then go back 2 weeks to Leeds. That's crazy.
yeah.
What, have you been back to England since you've been here?
Oh yeah, I've been a few times.
Just to visit.
Yeah, for like 2 weeks at a time. Yeah.
Your parents are still there?
Yeah, yeah. Everyone's exactly where I left them. All my friends are still there. My family's still there. So, yeah, it's nice to go back. It's weird though. It feels like not home. If that
Really?
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
It took a while to get used to it over here, and then going back, it feels really strange. It's like I don't know what the word is for it. Just like it's like out of phase, I guess, to use an audio term. You know what I mean?
It's out of
You know what I mean?
phase.
It's like, you know what I mean? It's like
a little
my
off.
house.
A
Yeah,
little
just a little
off.
off. Like it's my old house, but it's not. If that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Wow.
My house I grew up in, and it's like it's there, but it's like strange being in there because it doesn't quite feel like my house anymore.
I think
really
I can
weird.
understand that. Yeah. Yeah.
Anachronistic. There's a word.
Oh, Jesus. I don't even know what that means, but let's go with out of phase. I like that one. Wow. LA,
So, yeah.
huh? So it's either going to be East Coast or West Coast then?
There's in between though. There's
Really?
there's places in Seattle. There's a lot in Canada. There's some in the Midwest. I think there's Bethesda in Washington. There's Epic in North Carolina. There is.
Oh, so
I know
they're kinda all
there's
over the
some in
place then.
Baltimore, Maryland. I think
Mm.
there are all over the place. Mostly concentrated in LA by you know, for the most part. But I mean, they're all around the world. I mean, Scandinavia, even and Western Europe is actually coming up a lot. There's a lot in the UK.
Interesting.
You know, you have really good ones in the UK, like amazing studios. You know, Creative Assembly, Rebellion, Codemasters, like a lot of good stuff. And then in Scandinavia, France as well, Germany, there's like Ubisoft branches. There's you know, Activision. And then there's like independent developers, like really amazing studios that would just be like, you know, you want to move to Norway or Sweden and do sound design. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah,
Jesus, dude.
there's options and stuff. There's
That's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, just keeping myself open and just doing the best I can. That's all I can do. So
Dude, that's all you can do. Huh. Well, is that everything? Let's see. Yeah. Dude, I think it's so cool. You always like sound so excited when you talk about game audio. It's like I really think you found your thing now. It's like
I think
you're
so.
really passionate about it. I could tell.
Yeah. I've put like I'm kind of 3 years into it now. 3 years, and yeah, I think I've improved a lot. I started from scratch pretty much. Like I didn't really know how to use I knew how to use Pro Tools for recording and stuff, but like in terms of using a DAW for sound design, like that was my first thing. And yeah, in 3 years, I think I've done a lot. Dude. I've worked really like hard, like worked my ass off to do it. But yeah. I wouldn't be doing it if there wasn't a good reason to do it. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, dude, I can tell. I mean, the demo to me it sounds great. Obviously, I can't tell. It's like also I'm biased, so like when I watch, like, whoa, he did that shit.
It must be good.
It must be good because he did it.
No, I mean there's plenty wrong with it, I'm sure, but I'm listen. I can definitely say that I'm proud of what I did on it, and I don't usually say that because I'm such a perfectionist that I'll pick everything that's wrong with it out, but definitely like proud of the work I did on it because it took a lot of doing, but yeah. It's all good. It's all good. All I can keep doing is grinding and, as I said at the start, taking a break.
Taking a break every now and then. Yeah.
More balance this time. More balance.
That's the thing what it comes down to, right? Balance. Yeah. Well, dude, thanks a lot for coming on. I'm sure, because I don't have a lot of sound design people on. I had like one person, and not even like he does a bit of sound design. So I thought, oh, this is perfect. This is what you do. So hopefully next time you're on, you'll be like at some AAA Naughty Dog studio and be like, hey, you guys need like a guitar player or something? Cool.
There's so many contacts. That's it. You're in.
Just approve everybody. Yeah, you're in. I know.
Who have you got? It's fine. Don't worry. I'm good.
No, dude, look, I wish you the best. I think you'll do great. I think you're going to kill this.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, I plan to, but
Fuck
yeah, we'll do it.
Cool.